Hi everyone, this is Elena Kraus and welcome to another card video. In this video, I will show you some sneak peeks from all the trimmings release that's coming on October 17 on Wednesday from Catherine Puller Designs. So here's a quick peek of the card that we'll make today, and it uses few of the new products. So as I go through the video, I will mention all those new products as well. There are lots of other products that are coming out on Wednesday, and be sure to not miss the release on Wednesday so you can get stock up on some great Christmas products for card making for all your holiday needs. So let's get started. Here's the first product that I'm showcasing today. That's the wood grain background stamp, and I have a panel. It's like A2 card, just a flat panel, which measures 4¼ by 5½, and I'm inking up my stamp. And this is one of the, as well, before I go on to mention, this is one of the new large acrylic blocks from Catherine Puller Designs, and fits perfectly the background stamps. So I'm inking up my stamp using the Versamark ink. And then instead of stamp to paper, I'm doing paper to stamp because it's larger stamp, and I want to make sure that I have even coverage of that Versamark ink on my panel. So I'm just rubbing my fingers over the panel and then just putting like piece of scrap paper. It's printer paper, just making sure that I have even and kind of full coverage of that ink onto my paper. So I think that I covered everything. Now I'm just going to remove that paper from the stamp carefully. Make sure that when you do that to not smear, or you can just lift up your ink block and turn it around. Kind of let the paper fall off. Next, I'm using the Misty Sky Wow embossing powder to emboss my panel, and just a warning, I won't be using this panel towards the end of my video. I switched to the Wow Catherine Puller Wonderlust embossing powder because it didn't really match the Copic markers that I used for coloring the images that I'm using today. So before I go on here, I'm heat setting that embossing powder. Kind of carefully melting it with my heat tool. Making sure that it's melted all over, that I don't have any embossing powder unmelted left and falls and doesn't give a clear, kind of gives more smudged image. So next, I have that panel. Next, what I'll do, I'll stamp this little hot cocoa cup using Midnight ink on some Catherine Puller premium white cardstock. Just making sure I have even coverage there. So here I'm stamping several. I'll be using only 3. Just wanted to have some for future use. And this is the Holiday Charm stamp set, and comes with coordinating dies for all the images that come in the stamp set. So do a couple more here. So we have all those. And this Midnight ink is waterproof as well. It's alcohol marker friendly. So I'll be coloring using my Copic markers. I'm using the E50 series, like the lighter colors, to color that whipped cream on top of my cocoa mug. And I apologize for my head being in the way. I had to kind of make sure I know where I'm coloring, so I don't go over the lines. And then for the mug, I'm using the BG34, BG13, and BG11. So I'm starting from the darkest, the 34, and then I'm moving to the 11 and the 13 and 11 and 10. I apologize. So I'm just coloring quickly here. Yeah, I'm going with the 10. So next I'm using the coordinating die to die cut my little mugs. So I'm just cutting those out and then grabbing my little die cutting machine. So here we have 1, we have 2 more to go. So this is another stamp set that's new in this release. and it has a lot of fun images that you can do a lot of techniques and a lot of different cards and looks with it. And as well, you can do it for tags, cards, or any other. You can even stamp like a whole set of wrapping paper with it. So here we have 3, and then the next new product that I'll be using here is the nested label dies. So I'm going to use 2 of the dies, and I'll cut from the premium white cardstock and 1 from vellum to kind of give it some layered look and more interest. And by the magic of YouTube, I have already die cut those. I'm just positioning my little mugs here, trying to see where I like them onto my card. Next, I'll be using some sentiment from one of the older stamp sets, Holiday Mittens. And again, I'm using that Midnight ink. And I'll stamp it towards the bottom in the center of that label. So I'll position it, and it says Warm Winter Wishes. I'm adding some foam tape on back of my mugs to add a little bit more dimension and more interest to my card. So we have that done, and then so here's when I realized that the color of the mugs didn't really match my background, the Misty Sky embossing powder. So I'll stamp that again. So here is my wood grain stamp, background stamp, and I'm inking it up with the Versamark ink. And positioning that on top. And again, I'm covering it with a piece of paper and rubbing that, making sure that I have even coverage and overall coverage of my whole panel. So I'll remove that carefully. And I'm applying some Wow Catherine Puller inspired Wonderlust embossing powder. I love how sparkly it is, and it's awesome for winter cards or kind of Christmas cards too. I'm just tapping off the excess, making sure that all the glitter goes back into the coffee filter and then back into my little jar. Next, I'm using a cutting board for to put my panel to emboss, so I don't really apply heat to my cutting mat that's underneath and damage it. So I'm just going carefully around, making sure that everything is, all the embossing powder is properly melted. As well, you want to make sure that you don't overheat it, because that will burn the embossing powder and turn kind of yellowish, and it won't look good. So here, I think it's all melted. So here, it looks much better than with the blue one, the blue background. So next, I'll just trim my panel down to 4 5/4 to give me a little border when I adhere it to my card base. Next, I'm using some fun foam to adhere on back of my embossed panel, the wood grain embossed powder, and then scoring my 4 1/4 by 11 panel for my card base at 5 1/2. And then now it's just time to assemble my card. So I'm using some Tombow Extreme adhesive to adhere that fun foam onto the back of my panel, and then I'll be using some liquid adhesive to adhere it onto my card base. I use liquid adhesive because it's more flexible. It doesn't adhere right away, so it gives me a little bit time to position that panel to make sure that it's straight and it's centered onto my card base. Then I'll adhere the little labels, and I'll be using some fast fuse to adhere onto the vellum. If you adhere the vellum directly, you can see the vellum, or if you have sentiment on vellum, usually use vellum adhesive. So now on the back, I'm adhering applying some foam adhesive tape. So I just want to make sure that I have nice coverage there because I'm applying it to embossed, like glitter embossed background. So I want to make sure that it sticks. So now I'm just going to line it up, make sure that it's like straight. So I'm using my score pulse lines there. So to finish off my card, I'm adding some little details. And again, I apologize for my head there. It was like a couple seconds ago. So I added some shimmer pen, and now I'm adding some Crystal Effects or lacquer pen onto the whipped cream onto my mugs. And then I'll add one more last detail. I apologize here, I was moving the mat. I'm adding some shimmer pen to those snowflakes onto the mugs. So this finishes up my card, and thanks for watching today. Make sure that this is part of a blog hop, the release blog hop. Make sure that you read down in the comments how to win some awesome prizes and for the next your next blog hop stop. So thank you so much for stopping today. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well as visit my blog at elenacrause.com. Thanks for watching and see you soon in another video. Bye!